We are live. Welcome to our weekly community Q&A. I'm Dean Tenney, also known as the Series 7 Guru, and we have our always very, very special guest, Brian Lee, the Test Geek himself, managing member of Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. Tell us what exam you are taking and where you're joining us from, and we'll get some housekeeping done, and then we'll get underway. We're doing a special Thursday edition because I'm building an off-grid cabin that's taking up a lot of my early time in the week. So I just got back from getting my kicks on Route 66. That's where my off-grid location is. And then Brian Kaplan asked me to cover a Primerica 7 to 10 evening class. So after this, I'll be doing that. I'm teaching a couple Kaplan classes this month. I told them they can't count on me as much as they're counting me on this month, but Kaplan is contracted with Guru Exam Prep LLC, that's me, to teach a 66 class on September 18th to the 20th, a 65 the 25th through the 29th. If you want to join us, please feel free to do so, and you get a 15% discount for all Kaplan products and services. That's Guru 15 at checkout. And then if you're looking for a paid supplement, I always think the two best paid supplements, are a Kaplan QBank. No QBank that's better than that. There would be a better QBank if I could talk Brian into writing one, but he's refusing to do it. So the way you can make companions of that is with the Test Geek content. And Brian gives our viewers a 20% discount on his Test Geek exam prep video courses. He's got courses for almost all the series. With that 20% discount, you're all in, I think, about $100. But you can do the PDF separately. You can do the practice exam separately if you would like. The best free supplement is my channel. Everything on the channel is free. There's 600 and something videos there. So sometimes it might be worthwhile to pay Brian to just give you videos that are generic to what you need to do, which is pass the test. I get so many emails like, well, which videos should I watch? And I say, well, I don't know what to tell you about that. There's 600 of them. Find what you like. Use the channel search bar. That's the best way to find stuff on my channel. Either the playlist, there's find your series, you find your playlist, there's my videos and suggested watch order, and then use that channel search bar because, you put in straddles or margin or whatever accrued interest, it'll pop up with all I have available for you. We do our weekly drawing. I am having troubles time-wise, and so it's not a floating coaching call. If you win, the coaching call is Thursday, September 21st, 1 p.m. You can assign it. You can do what would you like with it. It will be videoed and then it will be shared on the channel. You need to claim that within 1 hour. I had a guy today. I don't know if you're on the channel. If you are, he won 6 months ago and he sent me an email. Hey, I want to claim my coaching call. And I said, well, you donated that to someone else. Oh, yeah. So this is not a floating kind of a thing. And Alexis, I think I have one. And Giorgio, you have one. I'm trying to schedule with that to you shortly. All right, let's see what we got. If you do have a question for Brian or myself, just tell us what exam you're taking, followed by the Q, so we can pick that out of the chat and kind of know what you're talking about. The main purpose of the call is to share content with you for free. So this is a good time to have a question, get it answered. Doesn't cost you any tutoring money or any paid material money. And so, but it's also about community and fellowship, but with a focus on content. So just let us know what exam you're taking, what your question is, and we'll do our damnedest to try and come up with an answer for you. All right, let's see what we got. Damn. Okay, well, Ashley, I like it. You just got to pass another test. I always say you got to pass 2 tests now, your actual exam, and then a test of your resiliency. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of very successful people in our business who have struggled to pass this thing the first time. I have 5 steps that I recommend to you about how to handle that misfortune. And I will actually link that in the replay. So let's see, that's at 4:36. And boom, you can look for that in the replay and you'll find my little video on that. Let's see, boom. Wow, this is a long one. Well, okay, Stephanie, so now I'm going to give you some tough love. It's okay to feel defeated for about the next hour. So you have to the end of the live stream to get that out, man. You're not defeated. You know, it's a battle. You lost the battle, but the war isn't over, right? Got a 66 on the SIE, second time, 10-5. And today, Series 6, got a 62. I need to pass these tests next time. You absolutely do. Well, I do have tips, and I told you I'm going to put that video there for you. You're a hands-on learner. You might like Brian's material. He's a hands-on guy. He's got his whiteboard and his videos. You want to address Brian, Stephanie, and Ashley in terms of, that initial misfortune of missing the mark?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're not the first ones. You won't be the last ones.
That's right.
Especially if you like hands-on, very visual. That's why I'm always with the whiteboard. Dean always kind of makes fun of me because of I don't go anywhere without my whiteboard. TestGeekExamPrep.com if you want to look for my videos. Entire Series 6, 63, SIE. Check it out. See what you think.
Yeah, I think a supplement.
YouTube channel if you want to kind of see how I do things.
Yeah, he has some free content there. That's a good way to kind of see if you're comfortable with his style. And like I say, supplement for sure, Stephanie. Supplement, Ashley. That's one of my recommendations. I told you I'll link that video, but that's it. What are the resources? Where do you think there's some room for improvement? And that includes study materials.
Right.
If you were using a supplement, maybe 2 supplements, or I just had as much as I love Kaplan, I had a guy and I told him, I said, you need a different voice. And that means you might need either a supplement or even buy SDC. He's kind of shocked. I go, no, sometimes you need to have a different voice. You don't want too many voices. Fine line between too many, the right number of voices and too many. But suck it up, buttercup, as we say. You shouldn't feel defeated. There's a lot of people who have that initial misfortune. It's how you respond to it, by the way. And I think you're in a better place once you have responded. You finally do pass because there's, like I say, people will know. People will never have any misfortune. Who knows how fragile they are? We've had people who took it on the 3rd time and passed, and I'm like, man, they're going to do great in the business. So, by the way, and your employer, that's part of my recommendation too. Remember, your sponsor is also looking to see how you respond to this kind of misfortune, right? And so you want to. It's okay to be kind of down on yourself and feel defeated, but when you go back to the office, you want to say, "I'm going to kick its ass next time. I'm going to slay that dragon." That's kind of what your people want to hear from you. So what do they say? Fake it till you make it. If that's not really where you're at right now, pretend that's where you're at right now. Pretend that's where you're at. Hello. Struggling regulatory. I don't know why you'd be struggling. Can I attach the link? I think so. Let me do that. It would be www.kaplanfinancial.com. I think that would work. Let's see. Does that show up in the chat? If everybody sees it there, it should show up. Past the 66. Woohoo! Spencer, we love referrals. Both Brian and I, we love referrals. That's, it's a pretty simple business at the end of the day. If people pass their test and we were helpful, then, we tend to get referrals. Spencer, the channel itself just crossed 2.5 million views. Can you believe that? 2.5 million views. We have coming up on 22,000 subscribers. And so it's always very gratifying when people say, hey, Dean, I passed my test. I'm referring other people to the channel, because that's the only thing that really could explain that channel growth. It's not really like people, putting in the search bar, Series 7 guru, and then Brian the same way. I would think the vast majority of Brian and my business is referral. We don't knock on doors, so to speak, I guess. You are welcome. You are welcome. Is that Japanese, I think? I know. What do I know in Japanese? I know no konnichiwa and hi. Hi, everyone. Hope you are good. Question on the SIE. There we go. A client buys stock on Monday, October 4th in a cash account. Under Reg T, when is client's payments due? This is a pretty easy question. I think the people that I think miss this confuse a cash account where you intend to pay in full with a cash trade, which settles same day. So Brian's doing that. Let me give Brian his board so he can walk you through this question.
Yeah, this was a classic Series 7 question as well.
Yeah.
right? In a cash account, when does the trade settle? In a
Yeah.
cash, right? In a cash account, when is payment required? It doesn't matter what type of account it is, right?
Yeah, cash account just means you mean to pay in full. It doesn't matter as a margin clerk to me,
That's right.
Yasha, whether you're going to do this in your cash account, your type 1 account, or your margin account, your type 2 account. As a margin clerk, I don't care.
So settlement simply means transfer of ownership. But the Federal Reserve Board requires payment no later than 2 business days after the regular settlement cycle. So that would be 4 business days. That's Reg T, another Reg T from the Federal Reserve Board that requires payment. So we allow extension of credit for up to 2 additional days beyond settlement.
Yeah. And so, Yasha, I would add to that we don't tell clients this, but T+2 is the Uniform Practice Code, and that's between broker dealers.
Right.
And we don't like to use our money to settle our customers' trades. So I'm actually going to give you 2 additional days, as Brian said, under Reg T, give you 2 additional days. So in your question, Tuesday, October 5th would be T+1. Wednesday, October 6th would be settlement, right? And then Thursday, Friday, the answer would be Friday,
right,
is when that payment is due. And then if you don't give it to me, then I get you an extension of your customer in good standing. And if at some point, if you don't pay, then I'm going to sell you out. And if I sell you out, then that means there's some additional problems there. I think the SIE is pretty clear about that. Now, I would also know, Yasha, that there are settlements that are T+1 on the SIE. And T+1 would be for treasury securities and option contracts, right? That's it. Everything else, corporates and municipals, is T+2. So I love that. Some content. We love content. Brian, I love helping out with content. Studying for the Series 10 is a struggle. It is, man. The 10 is a slog, Quentin. I mean, I'm usually spirit-filled about teaching, but I don't get spirit-filled about the 10. I'm like, oh my God, it's a slog. Seem to be stuck in the 60s and 50s on exam and quizzes for Kaplan. Well, Quentin, good news. If you're using Kaplan, I'm more than happy to help you, because, Kaplan hires me to teach classes for him and do things for him. I'm not a Kaplan employee, but you can send me the QIDs. That's that right-hand number, and I'm more than happy to help you with any Kaplan Series 10 question you have. And Series 10 is kind of I call it a barbell. There's a lot of recognition, and there's a lot of judgment. There's not a lot in between. So that can be a challenge. Any good tips? Well, just keep practicing, drilling, and rehearsing. And a cluster of nonsense. Well, if you're finding that prose not to be to your liking, the guy who's in charge of that manual is a guy named Bill James at Kaplan. But, this is an area where I do say maybe somebody else's prose is helpful. So if you do need to hear a different voice or a different content, maybe get an STC manual and just combine that with Kaplan so you can, read the Kaplan version and then the STC version and kind of try and make it your own. Marcel.
In the house.
There we go. I'll tell Mom hello, Marcel. You're one of her favorites. She's always asking, hey, what's up with Marcel? I say, we're talking to him. He's working still. He's trying to get things done.
We had a conversation yesterday afternoon, Dean.
Good. Welcome, LinkedIn user. We broadcast. Our favorite platform is YouTube, but we do broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, and I guess now X, we would call it. Our preferred platform is indeed Facebook, but welcome. We always like to see Facebook and LinkedIn users. My Facebook page, as Brian knows, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but I just crossed 2,600 people on the Facebook page. So, but if you don't find me there, come to YouTube because that's where I'm spending most of my time. I had a guy who took me to task. I thought you don't like Facebook. I don't, but if test takers are over there, I'll be over there too. And then remember, this is also available as a podcast afterwards on Spotify and on the channel as well. So if you miss us. Okay, just past the SIE. I'm starting Series 6, what to expect. Mainly regs and mutual funds, variable annuities, communications. I think I don't want to have you slack off on it, but I think you should be in pretty good shape based on passing the SIE. Brian, your thoughts on 6 as compared to SIE?
Absolutely. I think so too. The SIE is really a good preparation for the 6, just much deeper into the mutual funds.
Yes, and NAV and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I would tell all SIE test takers, That is why you want to overlearn the SIE, because you don't want to come out of the SIE just barely passing, because it's laying such a foundation for either your 6 or your 7. And if you can really work and try and maximize that effort, that study effort, it will pay big dividends on your either your 6 or your 7. Series 7 New York. All right, taking the exam next week. Any tips to ensure I'm prepared for it? Well, if next week, I don't know what your practice test scores are, Yazan. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. I like that name, Yazan. Yazan. I'm going to say it's Yazan. I'm how I'm going to pronounce it. I don't know if it's correct. If not, I apologize in advance. I'd like to know a practice test score to know, whether you're prepared for it. So that's how I would say get a mark. Don't wait too long to get a mark and see where you're at. So before I would give you tips, I'd want to know the score. Yeah, Brian.
And my practice final.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Brian's practice final, as I always tell people, I feel it has the strongest correlation on to the actual exam. Now, you can do it 2 ways. You can go to my channel and you can find Brian's, its thumbnail says Test Geek. You can hit pause, answer, and then hear me answer it, see how you did. The other way to do it is you can actually just buy the PDF of that. I really recommend that. It's only $20. And I think was that with a discount? I think it's $20.
20 minus 20%.
What I like about having that physical copy is then you can print it, and then you can make what I call poor man's flashcards out of it. And the night before or morning of a boat, just read Brian's questions and his right answers is another way to get double duty out of that practice test. Now we want to make sure everybody's clear. For the $20, you just get the PDF of the practice exam. You don't get the videos, you don't get the class notes, you get that PDF. And then again, Brian, you might have somebody calling you. Listen, I don't mind walking you through Brian's question and answers on the channel, but about the 3rd time you send me a comment, I'm going to say, just call Brian. Brian's more than happy to talk to you about his questions. I don't need to defend Brian's content. I trust the content, but I'm not the guy to talk to if you have an issue. I forget what question it was that came up the other day.
It's always the options.
Well, yeah. Then there was a guy who watched your video, and there's so many positive. Brian also, I invited him to do a class in the evening for us, definitions and registrations for 63, 65, 66, all kinds of positive comments. But today I had a guy, my trainer said, and I said, well, if your trainer said that, I don't think he really said that. But if he did, he's wrong. I mean, that's just not correct. And I think you're confusing, IARs, their state versus federal. And then he told me I go, there's nothing in the video that contradicts that. So, reach out to Brian.
Yeah, I got an email on that last week, I believe. Yeah, but there's no mistakes.
Carla, another content question. Well, an aggressive investor still want a desirable beta 1? No. An aggressive investor doesn't want beta. An aggressive investor wants alpha. They want excess returns. So I would say no to that. Beta means you're willing to accept whatever the market gives you. And let me just put that here. I want to make a note that we discussed beta at 1821. So the beta of an S&P 500 track fund would be 1, right? Market goes up 10, the track fund should go up 10. And that's not aggressive. That would be, John Bogle and the Bogle heads and Vanguard, those kind of folks. That also ties into, whether somebody says, Dean, I think active management is a waste of time and money, and it's not tax efficient. And I said, well, maybe you want to consider an index fund. So will an aggressive investor still want a desirable beta 1? No, they would want a higher beta. I'd like the context of the question, Carla.
I do too.
But, it's definitely not a beta 1. Would you agree, Brian? It's not going to be a beta 1?
Oh, God, yeah. You need some volatility in there to be an aggressive.
Yeah, volatility. Carla, the way I think of it is volatility, it's like financial speed, right? So I say, Carla, I wish we would have got together a little sooner in our journey, because now where I need to get to your financial destination, we're going to have a higher beta in the portfolio than I would usually recommend. And that's because we got to get there in a short period of time. So we're going to have to take more risk. So we're going to have a higher beta. I had a guy, Brian, who does seminars for 401k people. And he said that at the luncheon, the guy asked him which of their funds and their fund family should he buy if he wants to retire in 5 years. Wow. And he said, well, how much do you have invested thus far? And he said 0.
Ow.
And he said, and he told me his answer was, we don't have a fund with a high enough beta to get you from here to there in 5 years. So I thought it was interesting you use the beta as,
Right.
as the way to do that. By the way, if you're a 65, 66 test taker, I think it's even more probability than 7 that you might get a beta or an alpha question. Beta is certainly test 1-7, but 65, 66 for sure. Yeah, this is Thursday, Trina. We're doing a Thursday edition because of my, my being out of town first part of the week. I'm building a cabin off grid, so we'll be back to our normal Tuesday schedule next week. And participate. There's a community poll on the community page of the channel, and I've been thinking about September, just trying it out and see what it works. Doing Tuesdays and Thursdays. We might max out Brian, and if you can't join us, that means you'll just have me, yours truly. But participate in the poll and see if you want to do a Tuesday, Thursday, or just stick to Tuesdays. And I thought maybe we do a beta, a different beta on that. Beta, that sense means test, a test. I was watching one of your exam reviews, and you mentioned Investment Company Act of 1940 is highly testable. Is it possible you can go over several questions, potential? Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? Well, NAV once per day? Right. I don't think we need to know about 100 grand and 100 shareholders on 7. What do you think, Brian?
As far as the reg is concerned on Series 7?
Well, I don't know if I would say Investment Company Act of 1940. I would know it's about mutual funds.
That's it.
Certainly you have to be able to distinguish between a unit investment trust. Investment Company Act says you have to classify yourself as either a contractual plan, a face amount certificate plan, who cares, or a open-end or closed-end fund, we care. Those are called management investment companies, or a UIT, a unit investment trust. You could very easily get a question on a UIT being assets that are professionally selected but passively managed. And then they're going to get tormented on the difference between open and closed end funds. I don't know if you've seen the video, but I will link to it at 2209, the mutual fund lecture I have. And Brian, you sound like you don't think this is testable, huh?
No, it's not that. I was going to make a comment pertaining to laws and regs in general.
Okay.
I think we both get questions. Well, what about the Securities Act of 33? Is that tested? Is the Investment Advisor Act of 40 on the 65, 66, Investment Company Act? Why, of course, they're all covered, but it's not really memorizing the laws and the regs. It's all the content that falls under these laws and regs. For example, the Securities Act of 33, you and I know, is underwriting. So we have to know the underwriting process, the spread.
Cooling off period, what you can do, what you can't do.
It's not that you have to have a bullet point list of rules, facts, and figures under the Investment Company Act of 40. Yeah. That is just kind of an umbrella law that covers, just like Dean just said, UITs, open and closed end, and ETFs. Are they on the 7? You betcha.
Yeah, ETF, you got to be able to contrast
ends, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Not really legal questions.
Right. I agree with you. The 3 styles of questions that people get are recognition, practical application, and judgment. And on Series 7, you're going to get a lot more judgment questions as you got on your SIE. And Brian's point about these topics, you have to intellectually own the context of the reg, not so much the reg, right? What you can and can't do during the cooling off period. But mutual funds, options, and muni bonds are really the big areas. And you have to be, as I mentioned, very testable to contrast open-end versus closed-end, open-end versus ETFs, ETFs versus ETNs. And so, that is a big quality. So I'll get rid of the Investment Company Act of 1940 and say mutual funds, packaged products. What do you think? 20 questions, Brian? Easy?
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I'd go as much as 20, but yes.
You're always under the count. I am
under the count.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you still? You say 10 options. I say 20, give or take.
I say 12 to 15.
12 to 15. There you go. And it all depends on the draw. Both Brian and I have had people tell us. Like I had a guy the other day, he said he had 12 margin questions. I didn't want to tell him I don't believe him, but I don't. Yeah. So I find that whatever you're not comfortable with, your brain picks up on, and that's what you think you had. Like I had no option questions. I knew all options. I go, well, you probably did, but you just didn't. Your brain didn't tick it. Whereas if you're struggling on something, Well, Stephanie, I hope so. I mean, that's come to get some love here, and let's buck you up a little bit, and then we send you back out there again. But yeah, don't let that sense of defeat. Uh, look at those Jets the other day, right? They still won even after Aaron went down. I was like, oh, wow, that's a great team, right? It's easy to just say, oh man, woe is me, right? You gotta, accept that, deal with it, and then move on and say, okay, this next time I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
We're using the New York Jets as inspiration now.
Yeah, well, hey, what you got? A
Not
hockey?
bad.
You're
It's
a
a
hockey
pretty
guy.
good
You're a
analogy,
hockey
though.
guy, right?
It really is.
We could have used the hockey analogy. Brian's, I think, a Kraken fan, right? Is that the Kraken? Is that what we call them?
Seattle Kraken, yes.
Yeah. Hi, Dean. I bought Kaplan 663 using your code. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Do I have a 6 content outline? I do not. I have not done the 6 content outline like I've done the other ones, Tailwind or so. Maybe it's always a time resource kind of a question, because I do have a 6 playlist. I have a Notman Series 6 practice test. I have a Brian 6 practice test. I have a Kaplan. So I do have a lot of content there for you, but unfortunately not that piece. Not that piece. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly I love it. That's the right attitude. Got to be excited about taking this thing down. Employers, I had one of my guys, his name was Troy. He took the test 5 times. And he used to tell people, I took the damn test 5 times. If everybody knows this stuff, it's me. People invest with you because they like you and they trust you, not because, you're a good test taker. In fact, I don't know if Brian agrees with this, but when I was a practitioner, if I had a baby broker who got over 90, I was worried, because we gave scores in those days. And if you got over 90 as a baby broker, that's not a derogatory term. It's a term of endearment. I'd say, listen, I think I need to get rid of you now. And they'd say, why? I said, well, how am I going to supervise you if you're smarter than me? You're always going to be one step ahead of me. So I think I should just get rid of you now.
You're
And then
absolutely
the
right.
second issue, they're not usually good intermediaries with communicating to customers. So Brian, what are your thoughts on people
It's about relationships. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
My wife left our friends on Labor Day, Monday morning, to drive down to Central Washington to meet a client on Labor Day. And she always complains that she's not a great salesman. She lands a 6-figure account. And I said,
Yeah.
see, it's because people like you. It's about relationships.
Yeah, that's right. Good news in our business too. I had somebody that was a live stream. You weren't on this one, Brian, but I had said, it's not so much can you do the math, as do you understand the input or output. And I had said, in my career, there's a friend of mine named Brian, not different Brian, but Brian, and I said he's made a lot of money, over tens of thousands of dollars from Dean, because when the math is important, I need the guy like that. I need to make sure my math is as good as the guy on the other side of the table. Anyways, the guy on live stream said, well, you shouldn't be in this business if you can't do your own math. I'm like, wow. I said, well, listen, I got news for you. There's a lot of very successful people in our business who are challenged in taking tests or challenged doing math. So, well, the equivalent, I would say, Carl, I would like to see the answer set, but I would say an official statement. Brian, what say you? I don't think we have to give it to you before, after buying. If an official statement is available, I have to make delivery of it, Carla. So that's would be my answer to that question. Brian, what do you think about that one?
Well, if it's a new municipal bond, which we don't have that information.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So yeah,
So
I'm going to
that's
assume,
only
Carla,
documents. Yeah, only documents I know of.
I would be looking for an answer set. Carla, let me make up an answer set. A, trust indenture. B, official statement. C, bond buyer. D,
Prospectus.
prospectus. There you go. I like it. Right. And then if I ask you, what is the prospectus like document or the disclosure document in the primary market for munis, it's the official statement.
That's
Right. The bond buyer is a newspaper widely read in the municipal market. The trust indenture is where we find the covenants, whether it's net or gross revenue, that kind of thing. And then I love Brian. He's a good test writer, right? That prospectus is what you could jump on if you didn't know that municipal bonds are exempt from 33, meaning they don't give prospectuses. So that would be what I would answer on that. When does an exchange decide to put a trading halt on a stock? Well, there could be various reasons for putting a halt on a stock. It could, on the New York, it could be an exchange. So you said exchange. It could be an order imbalance where the specialist, the designated market maker, says, I have an order imbalance. I need a couple minutes to get my order book matched up. It could be news pending. It could be lots of things.
That's the one.
What I would know, Carla, is in terms of halting trading, I think the high probability thing that you could get tested on is 7%, 13%, and 20%. Those are circuit bar breakers or trading halts, and 7% and 13% are 15-minute halts. And then 20%, we hope tomorrow will be a better day. We just call it a day. I think that's when you should know about trading halts. Now, if you join me for a 57 or a 24 on NASDAQ, we have actually modifiers that say T1, news pending, T2, news released, T3. But I don't think you would see that on the 7. Brian, your comments on that?
Yeah, the only thing I've heard about halting stock from Series 7 land is news pending.
Yeah. And then here's, Carla, the other thing I would know, this is very testable, that if we halt trading in the stock, we halt trading in the options. Right. So we don't let you bet on the ponies if they're not running around the track. So I would definitely know if we halt trading on the stock, we halt trading in the options. I would also know you could still exercise. So, if you actually are holding an option contract, remember American style means anytime you want, you can exercise. I love our names. I don't know if these are your YouTube names or your real names, but we got Yasha, and who was the other one we had that was pretty cool?
Yazan.
Yeah, Yazan. I like that. I like that one. Matthew, I like your little profile picture there. Passed yesterday. Woohoo! Yeah, my Series 7 1 hour recaps. Thank you. I have on my SIE in 60 minutes, Brian. I got like 85,000 views on that damn thing, and people, same thing, Brian. I was talking about the guy who commented like wasn't a fan. We're not everybody's cup of tea, But I had a guy who, what did he say? You could go through my video comments, and there could be 10,000 positive comments, and then a hater. And this guy said, "What did he say? Oh, this was not. This didn't help me make something like." It didn't help. I go, well, gee, did you really think that 1 hour the night before was really going to make the difference? So Carla said that she did encounter those on her last attempt. So there you go. So some good debrief. We always love content. The board of directors of DMF announces a 5-for-1 stock split. The market price. Now, this is kind of odd, Ashley, that they're not asking you to do the math. I would be shopping for more shares at a lower price. What do you think, Brian? How would you go about it? I would make up numbers and then do my numbers and then figure it out. Is that too much work? Is there an easier way to do that, Brian?
I'm not going to concentrate on math. I'm not a math.
Oh, okay. He's not going to go to his whiteboard, Ashley, which is a hint that he doesn't
do math. I'm not.
Yeah.
For a lot of people who have math anxiety, these questions can be asked or answered in a much simpler way. And you've already said it, Dean. The secret is, right? You get more shares at a lower price.
Yeah. So
the practice questions on Kaplan's and STC, they'll ask you to do the math. Have fun with that. Get a glass of wine, do math. Who cares? But on the test, it's much simpler. You just always have to know in dividends, you get more shares and the price is always adjusted down. It's a slam dunk SIE question. Yeah. You don't even have to do the math, except on the practice questions. So.
Yeah, I what I would have done is, so when I actually just in general, so I'm with Brian totally, and he's not going to his whiteboard. But when I get a math question that doesn't have numbers, sometimes I'll make up my own numbers so that I'm not trying to do it in my head. So, for example, if they ask me, what is the effect on equity in a margin account, and I don't have any ledger entries, I'm just going to make up an easy margin. I'm going to make up a $10,000 market value, $5,000 debit, exactly. 5,000 equity, and then do whatever it is they say, like the customer sends in a check or a dividend or whatever, and I can look at the numbers. So in this case, what I did, Ashley, is I figured out that would be 125 shares instead of your 100, and then I would have done the math, and I would have come up with, I think, 25% or something in that. I shot my answer set.
That's right. So you're going to get 125 shares.
There you go. So
right, because 5 for 4 is 25. So you just divide 5,000. That's 100 shares at 50.
Yeah.
By 125, and you get your share price.
There we go. I failed the 63 twice now. Wow. You've hit over 1,600 questions and not been marks. Wow. What should I do to get ready on third attempt? Well, Brian, you're the NASA maestro. What do you say about that one?
1,600 questions is way too many.
I think that could be your problem. I hate saying that because Brian knows I'm the question guy, but I really think that's a red flag to me that you've done that and you're not passing. So that means kind of Brian's point earlier about content, that maybe you're too into the weeds on questions and answers instead of actual content on that. Go watch, Jake. I'm going to link to it at 3528. Watch Brian's definition of registration. Absolutely. And I think that would help you immensely. And then we have lots of videos beyond that, but that one where I would start. And then I have one called the Mighty 90. It's the Uniform Securities Act in 90 minutes. I'll put that one there as well for you. And let's see. I think that might get you. I think you need more context of what I would say, because obviously the question thing ain't working. So if it ain't working, we got to come up with something new, right? So doing questions. Yeah, I would have gone for the 25%, Ashley. That's what I would have done, but I would have done the math. And as Brian said, I think it's more of a test prep vendor question than an actual question. But if Brian would have taken the 5,000 and divided by 125, remember we made up our numbers, that would be a $40 stock. So yeah, 50, 20%. Yeah, 20? Yeah. 20%. Yeah. So I did the 40, it was a new price. I would have just shot my answer set.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Just discovered the channel. Wow. How did you discover the channel, Melda? I'd be interested to know how you discovered the channel. You're currently on your third attempt. Well, good news for you. If you have just discovered the channel, you have an SIE buffet. I have 2 SIE exam playlists. Playlist 1 is a bunch of lectures, and playlist 2 is a bunch of practice questions and practice tests. So you have lots of content available to you, all free of charge. I have some people who actually use my SIE content as their primary study material. Oh, by the way, that's what I told the guy, Brian. I told him that, we both are supplements. We're not trying to replace whoever your vendor is. And I had to tell the guy that. I said, well, listen, we didn't say that, watch our videos and you're going to pass your test. You still got to have a manual and a Q bank and some other things.
I always tell people we're not standalone solutions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then on the SIE, though, I do have people who tell me that that's been their primary kind of. They still have that other, but they're using it substantially. Do I have a discount code? I certainly do, Stephanie. The discount code for Kaplan is Guru15 at checkout. That's a 15% discount. And Brian's is Guru20. And that's a 20% discount for Brian. I have a Knopman Marks. That's Guru10. Primarily, Knopman does 57s and stuff. There you go. PDFs and videos. There you go. I do, Latchme. It's in the playlist, so you can go through there. I'm missing a couple sections, but pretty much the sections I'm missing, I've actually got lecture videos for. But I do. So if you go to the 66 playlist, you'll find my explication of the 66 content. Thank you, Blake. Yeah, the 24 videos. I have 24 videos on trading, particularly and banking, and people do find them helpful as a supplement to whatever else they're using for their 24. So I'll probably get some more content up there soon. It's been a while since I've added anything to our 24 content.
My YouTube has the closeouts.
Oh, yeah. So thank you, Brian.
24.
Yeah, Brian, as I said, Brian's, what's that?
Is that relevant to the 10 as well? The closeouts?
I don't know. I haven't anybody tell me they've actually seen that. But so Blake, this is a true story. Somebody was struggling with their 24 buy-ins and closeouts, and Brian does have a YouTube channel. He does have some free content up there, and it's great. And one of the things that I always refer 24s to is his little video on buy-ins and sellouts. And I had a lady that really was almost in tears and how life-changing this was to her and understanding it. So make sure you go over to Brian's YouTube channel and check out that video. I'll link it. I'm sorry, what am I talking about? I'll link it. You don't have to go find it. We'll just put it right here for you at 39.
There's lots of little Brians and little Deans running around this world. You do realize that, right?
Well, yeah, tutoring. Brian does tutoring. I do tutoring. You can go to Dean Tenney at tutoring.setmore.com. And let's see, where is that? There you go. And you can book a session. I'm pretty booked. I'm $225 an hour, and Brian is a great arbitrage opportunity. Are you still at 90, Brian?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. So, Brian, and here's Brian's email. If you're trying to book a session, do you have like a booking page, or you just send
I
your
don't.
email?
I don't have a booking page, no.
Okay. So there you go. There's me. There's Brian.
I tried doing the Setmore, Dean, but they wanted me to put it in the code of my web page. That's a
Oh,
little
wow.
bit beyond my pay grade.
I don't have a web page. I don't have a web page.
I don't want to mess with code, man.
No. Did I tell you this story? I don't know if I told you. Ken at Capital Advantage Tutoring, now the Series 7 Whisperer. When I started my YouTube channel about 4 months in, he went and got the series7guru.com URL. And, I said, really? So I've been negotiating with him to get it back. And, I'm at the point where I'm just going to say, Ken, keep the damn thing. What do I care? I purposely have ran my life without a web page. It doesn't speak to me at any level to have a web page. So, hi, Dean and Brian. I wanted to share with you that you just passed your 65. All right. Kudos, investment advisor representative. Woohoo. 1 hour ago. Wow. Fresh from the field with a testing victory. I love it. I scheduled 12 days ago. I wasn't aware of the scope and complexity. I did have Kaplan and got overwhelmed. Well, that's easy to do, particularly on 65. Brian and I think 65 can be, for a certain audience, what do you think? One of the toughest, or do you think the toughest exam?
Yes, it's probably got it's one of the toughest.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I don't want to go too deep into that, but yes.
All right. Then I had blessing of finding you guys and watched repeat all your content, took notes, passed successfully. Woo! You were the reason primarily. We love it. You had your voice in my head. That's kind of scary, but I get it. I like to do things like, ding, 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 ding. Brian likes to do get the P.
Keep it simple. Stay with what you know.
English is not your first language. Wow. So it's particularly challenging. Wow. We just told you we think the 65 is hard. I always say Viviana. I hope I'm pronouncing that. We got some real great names here tonight. Viviana, I always say it's not in English to begin with. So if English isn't your first language, they can really add to the complexity. Yeah. Well, it looks like on these Thursday editions, these special Thursday editions, we're able to finish a little earlier. So if you don't have any more content questions or anything for Brian and I, we'll get on to the drawing, and we'll Brian gets to, what are you doing tonight, Brian? None of my business, but
nothing.
And I'm teaching a SIE class 7 to 10. I think you have the better life for sure.
I'm more retired than you are.
Yeah, that's true.
That's closer to it, I guess.
What are on economic trades? On economic trades, I forget which exam you're taking, but I'll just give you a quick example of that. How about a spread where the difference in the strikes is 5 and my net debit is 5? That trade is on economic because there's no way I can make money on it. We joke in the business that's called an alligator spread. So if you get a question on an uneconomic trade, it's a trade in which there's no way for the client to make money, right?
And therefore is unsuitable.
What's that?
And therefore is unsuitable.
Oh, well, absolutely. I love it. So Brian's point, right? They could
uneconomical trades.
Yeah, they could say that. I love Brian's phraseology, right? So they could say Horvor. I apologize. I'm probably sure I'm not getting that right. But again, another interesting, great name. I love all these, Brian is so boring and Dean is so boring, but anyways, but Brian's point, I could ask you which of the following would clearly be unsuitable. And, we chop the answer set, and there's going to be, I call this the Sesame Street trick, and it could be an uneconomic trade, which the one that shows up the most is a debit spread where the debit equals the strikes. Right, because remember, in a debit spread, the max gain is the difference in the strikes less that net debit. So if it's 5 and the debit's 5, you just can't. There's no way for it to work, right? Oh, looks like we're getting some here at the last minute here. Pension plans and insurance. Wow, there you go. At least 10 questions. Math just 2 or 3. That Viviana is what we usually say. Math. We know that people have a phobia on 65 on the math, and it's hard to talk them off the ledge. But that's typical. If you tell me you missed the mark on 65 or 66 because of math, I'm not going to believe you. You had to have some other problem. And what's funny, Brian and I have noticed it's weird, particularly even on the 66, where people come off their 7, and when they, the vast majority of people get that done. But that being said, there are people that struggle on the investment component part, which you would think would have been pretty recent. So it's usually investments that do them.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else tonight? Are we ready for the drawing? Let's see. Choose a live stream. Boom. Let's get rid of this. What should the word be tonight?
I've been thinking about this all week. Since you now have your cabin in Arizona, I don't know. I think that's how you spell it.
Haboob? What is that?
It's a dust storm.
Oh man, I got to tell you, we had some.
Have you seen some of those
monsoons? Oh my God, I had a monsoon last night in my cabin, and I thought my thing was going to, float away. Crazy. Okay, so let me now.
All the wonderful, beautiful names, international names we've heard tonight. I just thought nice international.
Haboob, I like it. All right, let me go get our boom. There we go.
It's Arabic. It comes from the Sahara Desert.
I like it. All right, let's get rid of Viviana there. Let me get rid of Brian's thing. If you win, you got to claim this thing within 30 minutes. Do we have any takers? I don't see anybody putting anything in the chat.
There's one. I see Haboob.
All right. Well, there you go. That's an easy win. Right? There's an easy win. And then
I
remember,
experienced one outside of Scottsdale about 10 years ago. It's just amazing.
I like, as long as people are safe, I like watching Mother Nature do her thing.
I do too.
As long as people are safe.
Oof.
But boy, I'll tell you that. Boy, and then I was an idiot, Brian. I was trying to, I had the septic put in and the water tank and all that stuff, and I pretending I'm like a contractor too, and I'm out there in my flip flops in like 3 feet of mud.
Right.
Remember, you will send to me your claiming you won it with the email. I'll send to you the video invite, the link, and like I say, you can share it. You can transfer it to someone else. You can do with what you will. Give thought to your agenda, what you'd like to talk about. Whether it's customer accounts or margin or whatever, and then we'll cover whatever you'd like. All right, so let's hit the button here.
There we go. You got some takers today.
Yeah, there we go.
And the winner is
Dave Costa. Welcome, Dave. So send me, Dave, your email, and I will send you your invite, your link to join me in a video coaching call. Topic of your choice, 30 minutes. Sometimes we go over depending on your topic. So, it's a flexible kind of a 30-minute discussion. And let's see, let's put Brian and I back up there. There we are. And let's get rid of the banner here. Boom. All right. So let me check comments one more time. Okay. Well, remember, inch by inch. Your series exam is a cinch, yard by yard. Your exam is hard, and we will see you next week for the next installment. Brian?
Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.